Welcome to the Speak by Design podcast, where we study personal style, message structure, and message strategy so you can become a consistently compelling force. Let's dig in. We are on lesson 17, knowing how to ask for investment. Leaders have to know how to ask for investment. And that could be with their board of directors, that could be with their peers, that could be to investors. But asking for money could also be part of the fundraiser's job. It could be what you have to do when you're interviewing and you need to share your salary expectations or what your needs are there. Talking about money is not always easy for people. And let me share some background on how this topic emerged for us. In coaching leaders and emerging leaders, we would get through presentation skills and we'd get through difficult conversations and handling questions and pushback. And people would say, there's this one meeting that I have that gives me the most pressure and stress, which is when I have to go in and ask for budget. What is the best way to ask for investment? And that is the question that we are solving in this lesson. How do you go about that? Well, what I want you to think about is first the mindset, then the style, then the structure, and then different strategies to make that very appealing to people. So the first topic is mindset. And there are a lot of mindsets around money and investment that get in the way. And it's really your thoughts about money and how uncomfortable this makes you. So I'm going to put out some of those limiting beliefs that people have going into these conversations. And if you have these, if they're in your head, we need to get rid of them now. And we're not only eliminating them, but we're substituting them with something more positive. So the first belief about money that is holding you back from productive conversation and pitching of ideas is the belief that money is limited. When you believe that money is limited, that puts you at odds with your peers because you're fighting over the scarce amount of money with each other. It puts you into a fight mode. It is going to make your tone of voice overeager and panicked. And by shifting the thought to something like, they will find the funds, we can find the money, this is important, this is a wise investment. When you're putting that in the head instead and getting rid of the thought, eliminate the thought money is limited, that's already going to change your tone of voice. A second belief that's very common is you believing that your audience is going to think this is expensive. Imagine you're going in to sell a product to someone and before you even walk through the door, before you even enter the Zoom meeting, you are believing that they are going to resist your price. Well, that's a sign. If you have that in your head, you might not see your own value. And work on that first. Why do you believe that this is a fair price? That this is reasonable? That this is a good amount of expense? And help them compare that number the right way. Because if you say the number and you are believing that it is expensive, it's very hard to hide that in your delivery. Usually the eye contact is shaky if you are not sure of your price, if you already think it is high. Make sure that you help them compare the fee with what the upside is. So will there be a 2 times return on their investment, a 10 times return over time from that investment? I'm throwing out numbers. It doesn't have to be like that. It could be that it reduces the number of days. It doesn't always have to be about the dollar amount. And then the third belief that we want to get rid of is that this conversation is going to be uncomfortable. Have you ever thought that you go into a meeting and you're already dreading the meeting? This is going to be awkward. I never had to ask for money before. I feel like I'm a used car salesperson. I feel like I'm doing something awkward. By believing that something is uncomfortable, it will make you want to avoid the conversation. You'll avoid practicing it out loud. You'll likely overtalk as a means to over justify the rationale. You will become awkward. You'll guarantee that awkwardness in the room. And you may even have trouble focusing. Have you ever been somewhere socially and you're feeling awkward and you're feeling so awkward you can't even make idle chit chat? You're overanalyzing every sentence out of your mouth. That's what happens when you're feeling awkward and uncomfortable. You stop listening, and sometimes you even start to distort what you're hearing. You could start to think that somebody is attacking you with a question when all they're asking is a simple question for you to repeat something you've already said before in the presentation that they likely didn't even hear. But because you're in that uncomfortable state, which usually fear is underneath that feeling, you are not able to stay present and give people the benefit of the doubt in their intention behind their questions. Now, the last belief that we want to get rid of is the belief, before you even go into that meeting, the belief that they are going to ask you tough questions, that they are going to ask you questions you cannot answer. So many people tell me this. They say, I know I'm going to go into that meeting and they're going to ask me something I don't know. How do you know? How do you know for sure that they are going to ask you a tough question? You might say, because they always do. Well, you have been receiving these tough questions. Let's go prepare for them. What are the types of questions they might ask? Get a list of those questions and start answering them. And then be prepared for the question that you cannot answer. It is 100% acceptable for you to say, I don't have the answer to that. Let me look into it and get back to you. Or to say, that's an interesting question. I don't have the answer at my fingertips. What would that number help you understand? Or is there another reason you're asking that question? And because maybe I could answer that. See if you can get to the question that's under their question, because there's most always a question underneath. This fear is very closely related to the fear that your audience is not going to understand you. And that comes from you believing that you're struggling making this clear and simple. So the first effort would be make it clear and simple. Practice saying it or teaching it to someone in your family or a person who has no knowledge of the technical aspects of whatever you're talking about, so that you can get feedback, honest feedback on what makes sense and what doesn't. And you should be able to tell by their face and their eyes whether you've made sense or not. Test it out. But the other thing is, we shouldn't make any assumptions that our audience is going to ask us a question we can't handle or that our audience is going to misunderstand us. You don't know what's going to happen in that meeting. And by believing the worst about that meeting, you are most often getting closer to guaranteeing the worst scenario outcome happens. It is much better to believe the positive. So let me offer you the positive thoughts to shift to today. Don't wait to shift to this. Shift today if you can, which is the money that we spend is going to yield a much higher return. The effort that I'm proposing to them is a no cost in the end. We can find the money because this is valuable. Because this is a priority, we will find the investment required. All of those thoughts are going to help you believe in your price, in the amount that you're asking for, in the fee that's being discussed. If you believe in the value, it will show in your delivery. It will show in the sentences you use even. Another set of beliefs that help you are things like This meeting is going to go well. I can easily talk about money. Money is math. This is very comfortable for me. When you believe these wonderful things, it does help your style. It's going to help your eye contact be sustained versus scattered. It's going to help your body language be more open than closed. This would be a time to have your hands more by your sides or even lifted like you're holding a serving platter. Open body language versus holding your hands or crossing your arms. Then the other thing to think about is your posture. Can you lift the chest? Can you keep your head straight versus tilted to one side or another? Look at your feet. Can your toes be slightly turned out and feet apart so you're taking a good, strong stance if you're in front of people? If you're seated at a table, make sure that your hands are visible so the other party can see them, but not touching one another. Keep your hands on the table, but not touching. Now, in the voice, we want the language to be fluid. We want the words to almost connect to one another. If I connect my words, they sound more like music, and that makes me sound so comfortable. I'm doing it right now for you. That fluidity is what makes someone look like a natural speaker. And when you are asking for investment in that peaceful, fluid, I speak like water feeling, the listener is gravitating toward your conviction and comfort with the topic. And it makes them not as worried as they would be if they heard you using a staccato, stammering, hesitating, full of chop and pause way of speaking. Pausing is fine, but pause on the punctuation, not in the middle of a sentence. Remember the 3 vocal styles we talked about. Those are, for vocal presence, consultative, assertive, and motivational vocal tones, vocal styles. And of course, there are many nuances in vocal styles, but those are the 3 that are most important for the leader. And we spent an entire lesson on those 3 vocal styles. We're going to bring that skill into asking for investment. And this is how I encourage you to stylize your message. Begin very consultative. And the rationale for that is that you want to meet your audience in a very relaxed, open, inviting, non threatening way. So I'm in my consultative voice with you right now. And I would start here, and maybe I do say we are seeking $1 million investment. But it's very peaceful. That immediately gets the audience like, ooh, I wonder why. I wonder what's going on. Then I could go into my more assertive voice after that. And this could be me giving the reasons why we need that, or it could be me talking about, and the reasons why most likely are going to be something that is either painful or incredibly opportunistic and time sensitive. And my assertive vocal tone will be great for that. Then I could go motivational at the end. And by motivational, I mean I'm going to pick up my pace. I'm going to pick up my volume. I'm going to use more ups and downs. I'm going to have either a crescendo or a decrescendo at the end. And that kind of life and vibrancy at the end gets people feeling very good about the decision to invest. If it's too wild and frenetic motivationally, it will ring likely strange, but encourage yourself to go more motivational at the end when you are speaking about the impact of your investment. Now, that's one idea, consultative to assertive to motivational. You could begin consultative to motivational and then end assertive. But what we want to do is make sure we have flavors of all 3 vocal styles in this ask to help it stand out. And remember, an ask for investment, we're thinking about you pitching either a company that is looking for an investor, or if you are pitching an idea for how to use budget effectively to grow profitability for the company. We were helping someone who needed to pitch for an investment that would mitigate a risk. and it was a financial risk that could be millions and millions of dollars. But with this investment, we would mitigate that risk. In that message, we didn't want to go highly motivational in the vocal tone. And so we stayed in the consultative and assertive styles for that entire message. And that's a possibility for you as well. But if you stayed consultative the whole time throughout, what you're putting at risk is that they might not see you as convinced yourself. And consultative, the beauty of that vocal tone is it does invite other people in the room to emerge as the decision maker. But if they need to see from you that you would spend this money your way if it was your own money, I think it's best if you do show an assertive moment in your style. Now, for message structure, because this is the part where people say, what is the best message structure? And I'm sorry to say it does depend. But here's the big question to ask yourself. Do I want it to be said how much I'm asking for in my first 2 sentences? If you watch Shark Tank, they always ask for what type of investment they're looking for. If you watch an IPO roadshow, they tell you the share price up front in the first slide before the CEO even opens his or her mouth. And that there's some power in that. Most business audiences like to hear the number up front. So if you're going into a leadership team meeting and you say, we are asking for a budget of $1 million, that will help us achieve X over the next 3 years. Now, that statement right there up front is a really strong statement that then after that, you could go into the situation, the complication, and the plan for how you would use that investment. And that structure is very well accepted and liked. I want to give you another one though, because that's putting the ask very clearly at the front. The other option is to make it the last thing you say. And the structure of beginning with the full picture of what paradise could look like is very emotional for your audience, and it gives them a moment to dream. In this idea, you literally begin with the aspiration first, and the aspiration might be, we want to be the number one company providing this service. And to achieve that, we need to be incredibly visible from a marketing perspective. We want it to be the situation where you go on social media and we're there. You're driving down the highway and we're on a billboard, and you're at home watching the Super Bowl and there we are on a commercial. We will be everywhere our customer is, and they will see us during their work week, on the weekend, in the morning, at night. We will be on their mind all the time. There will be no other option for who they should work with and who they will refer. We will be top of mind. When your opening moments to your ask are so aspirational, you prepare the audience for the number that you're going to share. And beyond that aspiration, I might go into what we've spent in the past or how our competitors are achieving better results and give numbers that are going to make my ask look small. Because your number, $1 million, that might be small to someone or that might be big. Look at the number with complete neutrality. It means nothing until you compare it to another number. So in the message structure, those are the 2 options you have, that you give the number first up front, and then you build your case as to why you need that and how you'll use it. Or you begin with the beautiful aspiration of what perfection looks like, and then compare it to where we are today, what competitors are doing today, what we've lost financially from this, what the upside could be, and then start sharing the plan and end with your ask financially, whatever the number is that you're asking for. Either way is highly effective. And you can look at what people have done in the past in your organization who have been successful and follow suit, or you can break convention and do something different that no one has done before. I encourage whatever your style is of asking for strategy purposes, no notes, do not read your slides, and use more stillness in your body, no fidgeting. Be prepared for any question that comes your way. Now, you might say, well, how can you be prepared for any question? Well, you practice up front. You know what types of questions have been asked before, or you ask someone, what are the types of questions that typically get asked in these meetings? And you prepare in advance for those. And for the ones that you don't have an answer to, you say, I don't have an answer for that. But what I can tell you is, and be prepared to give them something else or to tell them, let me get back to you. And all of that is acceptable so that you can go into these conversations and feel comfortable and believe that the investment is available as long as you know its value and you can clearly articulate that. Put it into a structure, practice it out loud. It's always nice to practice in front of the mirror with it as well, and it will go so smoothly. And this is a major skill for the leader to possess. Leaders must know how to ask for investment. And now you know. If you are enjoying all of these lessons, but now you're hungering to turn all of this into skills and habits that make this work intuitive and natural so that you don't have to think about it, then you want to join Speak by Design University. That's our coaching program that gives you private coaching, group coaching with me, group training, self-paced learning, as well as exceptional networking with other people like you. This program is for managers and above, people whose careers are on fire and they're looking to hit their next level, and they want to do that sooner rather than later. Check it out at speakbydesign.com/join. That's speakbydesign.com/join, and you can start with us at the 1st of next month. We hope to see you there.